Um, just to set this up a little bit, this is kind of more of a talk around design management, and the reason why I wanted to give it within this context is the way I view design management is it's essentially a user experience challenge in the sense that the designers or your design team are users within the system that you're creating or facilitating. So the experience that they have is the experience that's created by you as a manager, as a design manager, as a design leader, or even a leader within your organization. So thinking within that frame of mind, let's go into the topic. And what I mean by creative bankruptcy, let's get into it because it's hard to explain. It might not be what you expect. So when you first see that term creative bankruptcy, what might come to mind is the idea of someone who is defunct of creativity, someone who has expunged all their creativity. And that is the traditional way that term has been used, but I want to kind of flip it on its head. And to give you a sense of what I mean by that is I want to focus on the second word first, bankruptcy. And this takes me to my first inspiration. And this is an idea that a lot of economists have done a lot of writing and studies about. And it's something that I first heard that I thought was really interesting and compelling. And it's the idea that US bankruptcy law is actually one of the biggest instigators of entrepreneurialism within the United States. Primarily around the leniency of the idea that you can have a failed business, but it doesn't ruin your life. And there's plenty of examples through history where this has happened, where we have a lot of innovators and business leaders who relied on bankruptcy as a financial mechanism to be able to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and try again, right? And be able to do that in a way that's constructive and in a way that they learn and they grow and they are able to kind of extend their business clout continually. And if you kind of translate that broader from just bankruptcy to failure in general, there's plenty more examples of these famous failures who people initially didn't succeed, but they were able to do new things and try again in a way that they were able to kind of step back and figure out what it was that didn't work. So starting here, I wanted to really start thinking of a framework of what it means to facilitate creative failure in a way where people can learn, people can grow. And this takes me to my second inspiration. And this is a term that you've probably heard, have seen, have read about constantly. It's becoming more and more popular through industry, corporate America, blah, blah, blah. I have a big issue with this term. And the reason why is because it's essentially a rebranding of iterative design. Fail faster is meaningless when you really think about it. All it's saying, it's giving a new term to this idea that has existed of just continually trying to refine an idea, right? So that's not what I wanted to focus on. What I wanted to identify was what happens when you actually fail. So again, the problem I have with fail faster is that it's not talking about real failure. Those are new concepts that you're continually trying to vet, right? What happens when you fail in a big way that has huge consequences? How do you do that and then be able to move on, right? So I didn't want that to be the prerogative. I didn't want you to go out here and, fail big, be the idea, and you guys can go and, fuck up. But that's not what I wanted. So what I wanted was, again, a framework and something that's meaningful. So this is what I landed on, this idea of if you fail big, reflect. Now this might sound really fluffy and existential and meaningless, but again, what I wanted to do is create a framework for this, and this is very nascent and loose at the time, but this is the perfect audience for this. So if you want to try this, if you want to think through this more, come find me and we can talk about it. I can talk about this for a long time, but I'm not going to right now. So again, going to that framework, identifying failure and understanding failure is the first key of reflection. So when we look at this from the point of view of value and relevance, where are the failure points within that context? Where did it not provide value? Where was it not relevant, right? And then extending that again, for what audience was it not valuable? For what audience was it not relevant? Was it for the users or was it for the business? And then dig deeper. And this is usually the point where people miss, understanding the context of where that failure occurred. It's not just about the audience, it's not just about the business, it's not just about value and relevance, it's also about the larger context of time, culture, organizations, systems that have a strong influence on the success or failure of a design. So again, I wanted to create something that's loose enough that could be adapted, molded to what you need within your organization, within your systems, as a design manager, as a leader. Again, come reach out to me if you want to try to implement this. This is something that I've kind of ruminated on for a long time, and I would love to see people try it out. It's a nascent idea, again, but take that as you will, whatever implications and risks. So what you see on the right side here, this line of questioning, why did it fail? Why did it really fail? No, really, why? What it's supposed to represent is this idea of relentless understanding of why failure occurred. And this is the point of reflection. This is the point where you can actually learn from your mistakes and grow. And this takes me to my third inspiration. And there's this common idea, especially within the design industry, that academia should behave more like industry. That industry should have the primary influence on academia, how design programs work and run. And personally, I used to really agree with this. I used to agree with this idea that design programs don't prepare people for the working field of having project deadlines, working within a larger process. But as I kind of went along the way, and again, trying to identify design management as a user experience process, I realized the opposite is actually true. There's a lot that the industry could learn from academia. And what I mean by that is that academia has a foundation where you can learn through your mistakes, you can learn through your failure, and you can do it in a constructive way where you are kind of facilitating those ideas. So this kind of leads to, again, this basic framework of what I mean by creative bankruptcy. It's this process of create, fail, reflect, and learn. And ultimately, the purpose of this is to create a foundation for growth and success. So again, this is a very, very kind of nascent idea, an idea that I would love for people to try out, test out within your organizations. If you want to reach out to me to figure out how this can work for you within your context, let's talk about it. And yeah.